Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
How about that performance in South Philadelphia, down at the center? Boo! 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 That's what Jimmy Butler got all night long. And that's what he should have gotten. Listen, I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. I still appreciate him. I love his game. I love his personality. Even though he's not in Philadelphia anymore, I still really enjoy his game and everything he brings for the sport of basketball. But if he's entering Philadelphia, knowing everything that went on, this is absolutely how he should have thought he would have been embraced. This is what he loved when he got traded to Philadelphia. How brutal, how honest, how real the fans are. We are going to heckle you. We are going to get on you. We are going to make your life a living hell to the best of our ability as fans. So that was the right move. The right move was to boo him until he couldn't take it anymore. Every time the ball touches his hands, let him hear it. And guess what? It was such a blowout that the boos wore down because it didn't even matter anymore. So we got what he wanted. By the end of the game, the boos somewhat stopped. They were still there, but it was nowhere near as harsh as the beginning. Well, he got what he wanted, right? It eventually stopped. I just don't know if he was ready for the ass kicking that they handed him. The Sixers obliterated the Heat. It wasn't even close. And it all started with the defense, and the defense early. This was what we expected the Sixers to look like entering the season. They put it together. They put it together strong. Now you got to give credit to Brett Brown. Brett Brown had this team prepared. He had this team ready to go with a specific game plan because let's be real, Jimmy Butler was coming into this game with the mentality that he was going to take over and shut the crowd up and tell everyone to you know what. Well, you don't think Brett Brown dialed up a game plan to make it so tough for Jimmy Butler all night long? Jimmy was minus 31. He did not hit one three-point shot. He shot 4 of 13 from the field. He got zip, okay? He got nothing. Credit the coach for this one. Before we move along with this, I need to let you know that you can use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your total purchase. So you can buy tickets to a game, to a concert, whatever you'd like. And you can use that saved money on parking, on beer, on food, on anything else. Use the promo code BROADS today. So the Sixers defense, it generated 11 steals. There were some blocks involved. Joel Embiid at the rim swatting people away. In the first quarter, the Heat scored 13 points. In the second quarter, the Heat scored 22 points. Do the math. That's 35 points in the first half. A tremendous job defensively. And someone who stood out to me the most was Ben Simmons. Now you look at his stat line and you see the 4 points and you see the 2 of 6 from the field. And the first thing that you think of is, oh, so frustrating. And I know. But he was elite. And I mean elite in other aspects of the game tonight. Defensively, he was so focused and determined to be the best defender on the floor, and it showed. He was making plays where I sat back, my eyeballs lit up, my mouth dropped, my jaw hit the floor. He's so athletic, he's so quick, he's so smooth with his game on the defensive side of the floor. It blows my mind. Not only that, but passing the ball, the way he facilitated the floor, passed the ball to the outside. The offense is frustrating, but he showed you what he is so good at. And I mean so good, at the top of the league in some of these aspects of the game. And if you can't see that, God bless you, because you're missing out. He did some things that were poetry I mean, it was poetry when it comes to the sport of basketball. It was a playoff atmosphere down at the center. The game was also slower paced. Now, it wasn't to the degree of a playoff game and possession by possession in the half court to the degree of a playoff game, but it was slowed down. It wasn't obnoxious fast breaks left and right, no defense like you see in some regular season games. And that's what makes me enjoy this even more, because I saw flow in the offense. There were good screens. There was good ball movement. People were cutting to the basket, nonstop moving. I was super intrigued with the pace of the game and how well they looked at the same time. You're starting to see this team mold. They're getting rhythm. They're figuring each other out, and it's a beautiful thing. The team shot very well. 50% from the field, 48% from three, and guess what? That was without Furky. That was without Furkan Korkmaz knocking down shots like that. Josh Richardson, he could have made anything with his eyes closed. 32 points on the night, going up against his former squad, and the broadcast kept saying, well, Josh before the game made it seem like he didn't care who the opponent was. No, he cared. You definitely care when you're going up against your former squad, your former coach, when you see the uniform you used to play for. Josh Richardson balled out. And I love the afro, too. I'm all about the afro. You know how Sixers Twitter and Sixers social media puts out a ton of videos and clips and pictures of the team walking into the arena? When I saw the fro and I saw the pick, I knew it was going to be a great day. He even had a pick in the fro. I loved it. What great swag. And he put it on display on the court as well. And not just offensively, another guy who really showed his versatility and brought it on the defensive side. For the most part, everyone brought it on both sides of the floor. And when I say everyone, I'm thinking of the major five guys, the starting rotation guys. And I talked about this in my last game when Josh Richardson sat. I wanted to see this team fully go out there with the starting five because they need to get minutes together. Well, that's exactly what happened. Actually, you can argue that they got cut a quarter short because it was that much of a blowout, and I love bringing that up. The third quarter made me smile because the Sixers were up big at half, but I've seen this team let leads slip. I've seen them get comfortable to the point where the other team starts finding ways to cut into the lead and they make runs. The Sixers came out of half with Joel Embiid making big-time shots and going on an obnoxious run and really taking the game by storm. Keeping the momentum in their hands. That is great to see. We really, truly, we have not seen that so far this season with this basketball squad. So the third quarter really made me happy. Because they did not stop. And I know that Jimmy Butler played a big-time factor emotionally. Knowing that he was sitting on the bench, frustrated. Knowing that he couldn't make any shots. And it was clear that he was pissed off. Seeing that, and I'm talking about the team, the Sixers players, it helped. It made them feel great, and it made them want to continue to dominate at such a high level. Can they do that? Can they come out with a third quarter like that against a team where the emotions aren't as strong? I would love to see. I would love to see. And there's another test coming up on Monday. A big test in Toronto. Tobias Harris was aggressive. 19 points, 8 rebounds. You're starting to see him find his role. He's not afraid to move with the ball. He's not afraid to go to the rim. He's not afraid to pop it. His confidence is definitely back from whatever that crazy stretch was of not being able to make a three and having the yips for a few games. You're starting to see his role really come to him. Al Horford, he went through a mini Tobias Harris slump as well. You're starting to see him find his game once again. He had 16 and 6. Joel Embiid, I can't believe I'm talking about him so late in this video, but Joel Embiid, 23 and 11, 2 blocks, 2 steals. You could say he was an emotional leader out there. He was making plays, reverse slam dunking, giving the shimmy to the crowd as everybody in the crowd stood up, went crazy, went wild, gave him a standing ovation as he should have deserved. But he did that a couple times. He did the shimmy to the crowd a few times. He was embracing the crowd. And that's what he does, right? You don't try and change players' personalities. When you see a player, when you watch them grow, they have personalities to them. You don't try and take that away from individuals. And Joel Embiid, this is him. This is what he is. He makes a big play. He gets double teamed and finds a way to kick it out for three. And that person hits a three. He's going to celebrate. He's going to go wild. And I just mentioned the double team. He did a fantastic job at passing out of the double team. Now, one thing Brett Brown stated after the game in his post-game interview, which I thought was awesome, was in practice and when they're not playing in games, they put Joel Embiid in the post. He gets double teamed, and they have specific spots for him to hit around the perimeter. And if making the shot is not available, they have spots for him. So when he's practicing that during the game, when it happens, it takes over. His body just takes over, and he knows where to look. Well, it's working because in this game, he was really solid at passing out of the double team. And then not only that, the players executed. They made their shots. Because guess what? If they double team Joel, he kicks it out for three, and those players consistently miss the three-point shot. It's obviously not as effective. But the fact that those players were contributing and knocking down those shots, it was an awesome sight. You know who looks pretty good, though, on the Miami Heat? Hero. The dude's got a stroke. He can really shoot the basketball. And I think he's going to be something special. I watched him play in college, and I knew he had the it factor when it came to his shot. But you're starting to see him grow at the NBA level. And with a coach like Spoelstra, I think they can really work together, and he can grow and develop as a player. And that makes me want to transition to Matisse Thybulle. He's farther away than we expected. I mentioned how he deserves more minutes and maybe cutting into Furkan's minutes a little bit. Matisse, the more I see Matisse, the game is just a little too fast for him. His body is moving quicker than his mind, and he's fouling too much. The speed of the game is too fast for him at the moment. The only way to adjust is to continue to get minutes, and I understand that. It's not as if he's unplayable, but you see him out there with these fouls, and his body's going all over the place and moving too quickly. It's like his body is just going all over the place, and his mind is trying to process the flow of the game and what's right. It's not correlating. He did knock down a three-pointer, which was nice. But I feel as if every time he tries to make a play, he's trying to get a steal or a block. That's what he's going for. And I know that's what defensive players do, but I think it's effective to square up with someone defensively and contest the jumper. So it doesn't have to be a steal. It doesn't have to be a block. But if you contest the jumper, you make it a really tough shot for the opponent, you get in their face, you don't touch them, and you just stay in front of them, it's still as effective if they brick the basketball, if they miss their shot, if they pass up the shot, try and kick it out or something, and it goes out of bounds. You can be lethal and elite defensively just by squaring up. And I mentioned this when I first saw him play in the regular season and some in preseason. He always tries to make plays from behind, and it works at times, but square up and contest. It's never about that with him. It's always about trying to get the steal and the block, and I think that's why he's getting these touchy fouls and he's getting called a lot. Some of them are tic-tacky, but this is the NBA, and you need to realize you can't put your hands in all the time because the refs will call something if the opponent snaps their head back or something like that. I am intrigued with his game and what he can grow into. At this moment, though, I thought he would have been maybe more ready to go, but he's way more raw than I expected him to be. And one of the reasons why I thought he might be more ready to go than most was because he was an older college player, and defense is all about work ethic and whatnot. But he's raw. He's very raw. But I'm intrigued. I think he's got a great work ethic. You're seeing Brett Brown, though, be quick on the trigger with him at times because he can get lost. Another player who I thought struggled, Trey Burke. 1 of 7 from the field, forcing some things. I wasn't a fan of Trey Burke's game against the Heat in this one. Shake Milton. And I know I'm going through some of the deeper bench guys right now, but, for the most part, I thought the starting 5 all played fantastic. The bench wasn't as strong as a whole, but they played the fourth quarter when the Heat were trying to make this run with some of their stars, and it was such a bigger blowout. It's tough to look at the bench guys and say, well, Shake was minus 17 in 8 minutes. That's really bad when you're looking at the stats at the end of the game, but when you realize the score was, 30-point blowout in the fourth quarter, Kyle O'Quinn, Shake Milton, Trey Burke, Neto, they're out there just trying to kill clock while you have some of the Miami Heat guys trying to make some buckets, trying to play with a little bit more passion to show, hey, we're getting blown out, but we're still going to play hard kind of nonsense. So it's tough to look at the stat sheet at the end of the night and blame it or dissect the late bench guys and the deep bench guys based off stats. But all around, Shake Milton, ever since that injury, he has not been the same. He had some sort of flashy moments before that injury. It seems to be all lost. So, with Brett, very interested to see how the rotation goes moving forward. It is still a time where he's testing things, throwing all sorts of different lineups out there, trying different guys in different situations. He's even mentioned how 2020 will be the time you really know what it's all going to be about. Because he's allowing players to go out there and compete so he can assess that. He can see everyone get real minutes. And from there, he will put together what it will be like during the late run. And I think that's a fair way to do it. I don't think that that's ridiculous. To do it without Corky. To do it without Furkan Korkmaz. I'm truly stunned to see the team shoot that well without Furky. This was a game, the way the ball was dropping, he might have had 28 points. It's a shame he couldn't go. It's a shame. I'm proud. I'm proud of the way the team went out there and competed. I will say, it's easy to do on your home floor with that type of crowd, with the emotion behind them. Can they keep it up? And when I say that, I'm not trying to take it away from them. I'm excited and very happy with the win. I'm using that and trying to say, can they do this in a game that's less emotional? Can they do this against Toronto? Can they do this against Toronto? Now, there's still emotional ties with Toronto based off of losing to them in 7, but there's no Kawhi Leonard. A lot of things changed. I want to see them build off this and continue to play with this type of swag and personality consistently throughout the nights. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I think it's an easy way to get up, knowing Jimmy Butler's returning. Knowing that he's going to come out with this mentality where he's going to try and take over. Knowing the fans were going to be electric. Put it together. Play like this consistently. And I think the mindset with this fan base will change. For me, I didn't expect them to play as poorly as they did in the beginning of the season. I thought over time they will gradually learn each other's playing styles, see where everyone is on the floor, understand when Joel Embiid's going to get his touches, setting screens, cutting, making the right passes. I figured that would come over time, and you're starting to see it. Let it continue to grow. One game at a time. My star of the game has to be Josh Richardson. 32 points is great, and I thought he might reach his career high. But Brett Brown took him out in the fourth quarter. After a little heat check, it was as if he was doing that mid-range game, trying to knock down more shots. But it was such a blowout, Brett Brown said, Jay Rich, let's go. Let's get on the bench. And I get that. It would have been nice, though, to see him drop 40 on his old squad. But there's a respect level out there. Once it's such a blowout, you pull your guys and you say, hey, let's move on to the next one. I wonder what Jimmy Butler's feeling right now, though. You think he's in his minivan? Well, no, of course not, because he's flying back to South Beach. Well, I don't know. Maybe they have another game. I'm not following the Miami Heat schedule, so I don't know where they play next. But I wonder what he's feeling right now. Is he texting Joel Embiid? Because those two are boys. Are they texting? Is he texting Ben Simmons? I mentioned I wanted to see Tobias Harris step up because, let's be real, it was a conversation. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. I thought Toby did well, and he's starting to play with energy, and he's starting to play with confidence. I'm all about it. Let's go. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. I will see you next time.